Is anything real? That's the type of question that I would ask myself when I was 20 years old. It was the fall semester of my junior year of college, and the snow was just starting to hit the ground. I'd been thinking a lot about what I wanted to do with my life, but every direction that I took in my head led me to a dead end. My major, computer science, seemed to be the option that provided me with the most opportunity. But something wasn't fully right about it. I could intuitively tell that it wasn't the path which lit my spirit up fully. And then there was my YouTube channel. I had started it up several months ago and I was having a lot of fun with it. It was also a way to allow me to express myself and learn more about who I was and what the universe entailed. So it was inevitable that when I was getting into the world of self-help, because I was making self-help videos, that I would soon get enticed by similar ideas such as philosophy or spirituality. And that is exactly what happened that fall semester. You see, before this year, I hadn't thought too deeply about life. I had been brainwashed into the system that produces average people, just as the majority are. I'd go to school, try to hook up with girls on the weekends so I could brag to my friends and feel like I meant something, get lonely and depressed when I didn't, and repeat the cycle until I graduated college and got a job. Once I got to that point, I'd probably marry several years after, have kids, live in a nice house, and enjoy a comfortable life with my family. I never stopped to question if this was the right path for me or not, because that's what people told me I had to do. They'd say to me, well, that's just the way the world works. And I didn't think differently even for a second. That is, until that first snowfall of my junior year of college, when something within me was telling me that there was more to life than I'd been previously exposed to. And it told me that there was something I was missing about it all, and naturally, that led me down a spiritual path. I throw the term spirituality around a lot, but what does that even mean? I don't think it's something I can fully describe in words, because the very essence of spirituality is not words, but if I had to give it my best shot, I'd say spirituality is recognizing or sensing that there's more to life outside of one's own human perception. That there's a lot of things in this universe that we can't comprehend due to the limits of our five senses. But every once in a while, we feel it. We intuitively know it's there, and yet we can't explain how we know. And that's what I started to feel more and more of the more that I started learning about these different topics. It was opening me up to a world of infinite realities and possibilities. I started to understand that maybe we aren't just here to reproduce and die, although that does seem to be a big part of it. As the snow was falling and I was on campus walking to my next class, I shifted my focus to each individual snowflake that fell from above me as it passed by my vision. And I quickly remembered a fact that I learned a long time ago in elementary school, the fact that no two snowflakes are completely similar. That realization quickly created a profound experience in me. How the hell is all of this possible? Well, we can turn to science to explain that. I mean, I guess we can. Science has done a pretty good job at explaining why things in our world happen the way they do, and in those discoveries, improvements to the way we do things and our survivability has skyrocketed. But what science really does is recognize patterns, test those patterns, try to disprove of them, and make conclusions based on observations. So that leaves the question, how do you explain something that has no patterns, like snowflakes? Alright, let's be real here. I'm sure someone has explained in scientific terms why no two snowflakes are alike, but that still doesn't explain the root, the actual root of the thing. And that is because reality isn't words. Reality is just this. After this realization, I quickly reverted my attention back to the fact that I'm on my way to class, but things looked different now. What those snowflakes did was get me to question existence in general. Why does anything exist at all, and how can you really prove that anything is real? Let's think about this scenario for a second. Let's say you're standing on a sidewalk in a busy town. You have the sidewalk in which you're standing on, other people walking around, buildings to your left and right, a street in which cars go by, and all the different sounds and smells. And then there's you. But what if we started to take away each of these things one by one? What would happen? Eventually, when everything was gone except the body in which you find yourself in, the thing in which you consider yourself to be I would no longer exist. Because in order for me to exist, other also has to mutually coexist. So the only way in which I can prove that I exist is if other things exist. Okay. And then there is those other things and people outside of me. How can I really know that other people exist as their own separate entity, their own separate reality, and they're not just a figment of my reality? Well, I can't know this. All of these are questions I would frequently ask myself after that day where I made that observation with those snowflakes. And that is when things started to get real, or rather, not real. I had a 2-month period of depersonalization, derealization, where it felt like nothing was real, nothing existed, and nothing mattered. As a result, I broke up with my then girlfriend at the time and took the only ever break that I've ever taken on my YouTube channel in the 4+ years that I've been doing this. I remember during that time, I was at a party and my ex was there because, you know, we had a lot of mutual friends and we were still texting a little bit during that time. She was still so confused about why I decided to randomly break up with her, and she was still uncertain whether we had a possibility of having a future together. So she brought me down to the basement where we could be alone and we could actually hear each other, and she started asking me, you know, why it happened and if there was a chance that we could be together again one day. And because I was drunk, I didn't hold anything I was thinking back. I said, why does this matter anyways? Nothing matters. All of this doesn't matter. I don't know why you're taking this so seriously. Something along the lines of that. Depersonalization or derealization is really hard to deal with. It's confusing and it's scary and it's hard to explain to someone who's never experienced it before. And the thing is, it still happens to me sometimes, but I just see it in a different light now. I handle it much differently than before, and I no longer allow it to push me off my path. And that's because I started to live for different reasons and think differently about the existential thoughts that run through my head on a daily basis. Firstly, I think a huge help for me was completely quitting drinking and smoking bud. These are mind-altering substances, and both, but especially alcohol, brought out the worst in me. They changed my brain to not be able to hand these thoughts and made them so much more apparent to me, like reality felt a lot less real when I was in kind of a different reality on these substances. When I'm sober, things feel so much more purposeful. They feel more real. I feel more connected with everyone and everything around me. So I'm really happy that I decided to stop these. I stopped alcohol completely within the past couple months, and I might make a video on that, but that wasn't even the reason that I stopped them completely. It was just a positive side effect of not doing that anymore. I also decided to give my life its meaning in the things that I do on a daily basis and create a purpose that I've stayed true to. I've said this before in my videos, but I don't think you should try and actively find your purpose or meaning in life, and instead give meaning to your life in the form of positive things you do every day. Taking care of myself through nourishing my body is meaningful. Typing these words and knowing they'll impact somebody is meaningful. Whatever can help you feel like you're actually living instead of contemplating all the time is something that gives your life meaning. This one might not work for everybody, but I also realize that having these thoughts in and of itself is a blessing. I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat tomorrow or how I'm gonna survive another day, and that's the only reason that I have the time to observe my life in this fashion anyway. And to me, that is comforting. And then the thing that I think helped me the most is just beginning to accept and let go of these types of thoughts. Honestly, I'll never know if anything's real, and I'll never be able to prove it. But through trials and tribulations, I figured out a formula to live a life that makes me feel like my existence means something, and a life that can benefit others through my existence while also enjoying what this world has to offer. Because yeah, maybe nothing is real, but I'm certainly experiencing something right now. And that something consists of the most diverse array of textures, colors, feelings, sounds, smells, emotions, and that's pretty fucking cool. Life is worth questioning to some extent, but even more worth experiencing. There absolutely is something out there for everybody, even if you don't see it or feel it right now. Maybe you're just too young, maybe you've just been influenced by the wrong people, or maybe you've just had past traumas, but you have a gift that no one else can do the way you do it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again because I truly believe this. Do not allow this world's focus on the negativity to distract you from actualizing your potential happiness and fulfillment. Even though this may not feel real, there's something out there for you that's waiting for you to find it. And you will. Just keep living. Thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. If you don't know what this is a platform separate from YouTube where I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts, and you can also talk to me one-on-one there. If you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/Cole Hastings. The link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching till the end. I hope that this helped you. Go live your life, go outside, go experience what this life has to offer, because it has a lot to offer, and I'll see you guys in the next video.